A war so bitter now that children are as much currency in the fighting as they are in the propaganda battle. These images, purportedly of a militant training camp for children, appeared this week on a jihadi website. We don't know who filmed them or when.
Fellow Muslims, let me tell you of a way of life that will save you from hell.
He's reciting verses in Arabic, although others here seem to speak Uzbek, suggesting the camp's being run just outside Afghanistan's borders. Pictures that help argue NATO's case for it, that it's fighting dangerous extremists. You might have read about this tape in the newspapers this morning. But at the same time, Britain's opponents in the south are almost proud that they recruit children. Their leader, Mansour Abdullah, told Channel 4 News last month that children should be used as suicide bombers. An insurgency whose tactics grow ever more extreme as the coalition's political will is challenged. 24 people died today as violence peaks this week in a 6-year occupation. Each NATO member tested by regular crises. Today, it was Germany's turn.
I'm a prisoner of the Taliban. I live in the mountains with the Taliban, 3,000 meters high, and the Taliban try to negotiate with the Afghan government.
Sick after his month in captivity, engineer Rudolf Blechschmidt is forced into a plea for his life, played on Afghan TV. Its audience is in Germany, where Angela Merkel's support for the war faces fierce opposition. Hostage crises and troop deaths have kept the domestic pressure up on the 4 biggest contributors to NATO forces. American and British troops, fighting hardest in the east and south, have suffered considerable losses this year. But proportionately worse off are the Canadians, with 2,500 troops, 26 of whom have died so far this year. Today's hostage video will up the pressure on Germany with 3,000 troops in the north. Only 6 have died so far this year, but Merkel faces pressure from NATO allies to put them on more dangerous duties, and from her political opponents to bring them home completely. And now Afghanistan's ultimate survivor has decided NATO's a lost cause. In spring, warlord and former Prime Minister Gulbuddin Hekmatyar was reportedly sniffing around for a deal with NATO. But in this exclusive interview given to an independent journalist, he says there can be no dialogue with the Afghan government until the foreign aggressors leave.
We believe the withdrawal of foreign troops is the only solution. Power must be handed over to a caretaker government, and they should hold fair elections.
He said suicide bombings were the tactics of oppressed Muslims and would continue.
The Americans want to stay in Afghanistan for a very long time. They want access to resources in Central Asia and to besiege China. Their main objective is to block any Islamic government here. They'll face the same fate the Soviets faced in Afghanistan.
And as the obstacles to NATO grow, its enemies are not fewer, but fiercer.